Yeah, I'll pass it off to Alina.
Desert, quickly, what college are you from?
Oh, sure.
Can you do that one more time? Because I didn't click the record button in time.
Oh, okay. All right. Hello, everyone. This is the beginning of the stream. I'm Ezra. I go to Tufts University. I am a rising junior. And I am the lead programmer, so I take the lead on determining who does what. And I've been, I guess, sort of specializing in quickly implementing things to test out if we should go through with them or not. And I'll pass it off to Alina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alina. I'm a rising sophomore at Wellesley College studying computer science and economics. I'm the associate producer of our team and also one of the programmers. And I'll hand it off to John.
Hi, guys. My name is John. I'm the producer on this project. I go to Becker College. I mainly focus on level design for us, besides generally just leading the project, making sure we're focusing on the important stuff, and making sure Ezra doesn't juice one aspect of our game to be the best thing ever, but then we're like, oh no, we forgot the game. So that's sort of stuff.
That's about right.
Saves the best for last. Moi. Hello, I'm Kevin. I am a programmer on Team Black Forest. That's us. My main role so far has been UI as well as just implementing basic mechanics. And this is our game, Danger Ducks. I don't know, maybe we should do like a playthrough.
Yeah, so this is the Unity editor. So you can see up here is the scene view. I like to have this open as well as the game view so that you can see what's going on sort of behind the scenes.
Probably should start the main menu.
Yes, you are totally correct. I will go back to the main menu with the home button that Kevin made. Okay, so this is the main menu. We got some stuff going on here. Make this a little bit bigger.
Should we give the elevator pitch?
Yeah, why don't you go for it?
I don't have it memorized. Where is it at?
Well, so this is Danger Ducklings, a game about guiding your two dumb baby ducks through their dangerous 9 to 5. It's a grid-based puzzle game, and I will show you what that means right now. So usually it's on mobile, but we have controls hooked up for the computer as well, so we can test it on the computer without using Unity Remote, which tends to be kind of slow. So I can just click in any direction, and so if I go left, for instance, they're both going to try to go left. This one ran into a wall, so it didn't go anywhere. So if I try to, we're trying to get to these wind tiles over here, so I can just guide one of the ducks through, and then guide the other one, and there we go. We got 3 stars because we did it real fast.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, there are dangers, like this rebar pit. And if I go into them, poof, the duck is dead. So we have to undo, and then we can go around it instead. And yeah, our goal for today is going to be to make this windscreen really fun. Like if you imagine like Candy Crush or any of those sort of games that have like just a ton of like things happening on the screen and like the game like serenading you for doing anything. That's what we're trying to do, because there's this concept in game design of like a core game loop. So the smallest loop that we have is just like moving a duck once. So we focused a lot on making that feel satisfying to do. But then the next loop up, it's a little bit bigger, is completing a level. So we want to make that feel really good as well. This is one of our hazards that we implemented. It is like electricity. So if I go into it, boom, duck explodes. But I can step on the button to turn it off. So that opens up some more design space. Yeah. Anything I'm forgetting?
Maybe we should talk about the concept of juice a little bit more in depth. So right now, when you win, and a good example of juice would be our stars. As opposed to just having static stars, the stars actually kind of spin in and then they squish, and it helps bring life to the game where there isn't sometimes. Juice is one of the most powerful tools in game design. It can make a bad game bearable, and it can make a really good game great. So today we're going to go over some more juicing effects, namely in particles. And then maybe we'll modify the stars a little bit more if we have time. I don't know. Am I missing anything?
That sounds about right to me. I'm also just now realizing that I think that the wings for the stars might be together, but we can try slicing them. Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can slice them.
We'll worry about
Anyway.
that when we get to it.
Yes, that is true. Anyway, this is if we're very good, we get to put this in the game, but we have to do the particles first. So I was joking earlier about this. I don't know if it was here yet, but we are going to be turning this small square into the most exciting effect in the whole game by using Unity's default particle system, which is incredibly complex and really fun to work with. So let me just load up our level package prefab. This is basically the base of all of our levels. So if you were to make a new level, you would make a new scene, and then you drag this in here, and then it would all be set up, and you could just draw onto the screen like what tiles you want, like the walls and everything like that. So this windscreen game object is the thing that's responsible for that windscreen effect with the stars and everything that you saw earlier. And it is turned off by default, and it gets turned on when you win a level. So we can just actually put some particle effects as children of the windscreen, and they should turn on automatically when we beat the level. So let me create a new particle system, and then we will put it under here when we're done with it. So we can create, this is the Unity's menu, so there's all sorts of things you can create. We don't really want 3D objects because it's a 2D game, even though there's something kind of cool, which is everything in Unity is technically in 3D. So you can see that our UI is weirdly out in front of the game, and it's sort of fun to play around with, but we're in 2D, so we're just gonna stay in here for the rest of the stream. And yeah, so I'm gonna create an effect particle system. And this is the default. It's just these sort of default Unity particles spewing all over the place. So this is the particle system. It is very complex. There are lots of different things you can turn on and off. Each one of these has a ton of stuff underneath it as well, like texture sheet animation is something we're going to be using, so I'm going to turn that on. This is what lets us turn the particles into an image that we want. So we're going to go into sprite mode and select our particle confetti. So that looks even worse. It's just these squares. We can make them a little smaller. These are a little big for confetti. So we're going to go into this, I don't even know what this is called. I guess
like a tab.
Particle system menu tab. Yeah, sure. This has all the stuff about how the particles start out. And we're going to play around with things about moving after they're created as well. But just to start, we can make the start size a random between constants. So we can make it go between 0.1 and 0.2. And now they're a little bit of a better size. We can also, if we go into emission or shape rather, shape is basically controls how they're gonna spawn. So right now it's a cone. I like to make it a circle. Because cones are actually in 3D space, and that can get kind of weird sometimes. We can make the radius pretty small so that they all look like they're originating from the same point. If we made it really big, like this, then they're sort of coming all over the place. But since we don't want it to be like a confetti popping out, we want them to look like they're all coming from the same place. And we can also turn up the emission a lot. So right now the rate over time is 10, which is the default. We can change it to something like 50, and there'll be a lot more of them. Next, it looks kind of weird to me that they're all parallel to each other. They're all just spitting out, but they're still in the same direction. So we can set the rotation to be random by, if we go into start rotation, right now it's 0. We can set it between constants again. I like doing that for basically every variable that I'm messing with, because it just gives a lot more liveliness to it by making things random. If you just set something to a strict number, then they all look the same, which is sort of unfortunate when particles are supposed to be like messy and big. What's next? So I can change the start color to be, oh god, there's so many options. Let's go random color. And this opens up a gradient. So there are lots of like Unity default types. Gradient's one of them. Gradients basically let you create, I don't even know what it is under the hood, but essentially you can access a gradient with a float. Right, so to use a not computer sciencey term, like a small number between 0 and 1. And when you do that, it'll like, I guess like access the gradient along here somewhere, depending on the number that you chose. So I assume that the particle system has some way of doing that automatically. So we can just set these to be like red, and then we add another one. We set this one to be yellow, this one to be green, this one to be blue, and this one to be, and we're just gonna go all the way around the circle. And then hopefully when it samples something randomly everywhere, it'll look like somewhat interesting at least. Yeah, so now we've got these party colors going on, and we can edit that later if we want. Like right now they're looking a little too red for me, so maybe we just like scoot these over a little bit, make it more bluish. What's next? I like to make them, so right now they're like going out really big. To save a little bit of processing power, we can make it limited to this sort of area, since we've basically guaranteed that none of our resolutions are going to go beyond this. So we can change the start lifetime to be like 2 instead. Maybe 2.5, let's say. Not 22.5. We can change the start speed to be random as well. Everything's just going to be random, guys. I'm going to level with you.
So, Ezra,
yeah.
This particle system looks like really in depth. Is this all built into Unity? Or is this like, did you have to download anything at all for it?
No, this is just in Unity. And by far the hardest thing about it is just learning where everything is. Like, I'm going right to the things that I want because I've made like a bajillion particle systems before. But the first maybe 20 times I made a particle system, I looked up like tutorials about like, okay, how do I make the shape what I want?
The particle system made him lose control.
Apparently. Where has Ezra gone?
Just a moment.
Oh.
Looks like I cut out there. Sorry, everybody. That was unfortunate. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. I was like, everyone's really quiet. I wonder what happened. Oh. Okay, yeah. So right now I'm keeping it like just continual. We're gonna want to limit the time that it plays once we actually implement it. But for now, it's nice to just have it be looping so that we can continue to see the effects of what we're doing to it. Right, so size over lifetime really adds a lot. Basically right now, it kind of looks like they just disappear, which doesn't look great. So we can actually make it shrink over lifetime using one of these Unity animation curves. So I like to use this one and modify it a little bit. You can create new points and it'll like calculate the curve for you, which would be nice. So yeah, now they're gonna like wink out sort of this. So we can actually make the lifetime a little bit shorter so you can actually see that more. 1.7 or something. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Any other things people are seeing that I should add before we try to make a couple of them and put them in the scene?
Should they kind of like fade out? Like I know that you said that they shrink, but I think you can also do their alpha channel too.
Yes, I can. Color over lifetime, I believe. Yeah, okay, so another part of the gradient, this took me a little while to learn. The bottom thing is the color and the top is the alpha. So we can actually just go into this and set the alpha to 0.
Alpha is basically opacity. It just makes something more or less opaque or transparent.
Yeah, so now it should just do that. Yeah. Yeah, oh, what's noise? I've actually never used it before. Oh, no. I don't think we want that. They're all just going all over the place. That might be useful when we're making fireworks.
Maybe.
Okay, we might play around with that later.
So Ezra, we have a question.
Ooh, okay.
So is there one juicing technique that is a must-to-have to make games connect, to make gamers connect to your game in particular? Is there one must that you are aware of?
Yeah, okay, so I have a serious answer. Is a little bit boring and a fun answer. I'll give you the serious answer first. Basically, oftentimes when you're dealing with things in code, you're dealing with things in sort of like a binary way where it's like, okay, it's either in this position or it's in this position. So like for us, let me actually go into one of our scenes and I can show you.
I want to disable the particle system. I don't know.
Meh, we can just see the particles. That's fine. It has the particles. I mean, that's pretty cool. So right now, these ducks are in this position. And if we move them, they sort of like hopped over. And originally, because we have it in code, like basically on a grid, it would be either here or here. But a really important thing to add is a transition between those two states. And the thing that's nice to do in Unity is either to use animation curves or what's called lerping, which is linear interpolation. So you can like interpolate, basically figure out where you should be in between two things. And that makes things look much more natural. And once you add that to your games, things tend to look a lot better. The jokey answer is when we were testing out different ideas, when we weren't sure if we were going to make this or some other games, I was in charge of making an endless runner called Operation Ostrich. And I added googly eyes to everything. And it was like, I coded them so that they would follow your character around. And it was very fun. So I recommend adding googly eyes, but lerping is the more professional answer.
I can also kind of just expand on that thought as well. As far as like juicing goes, it also depends on the kind of emotions you're trying to evoke within your player. So for example, our game, we want you to really feel like the ducks are kind of helpless and like they're almost like children. So everything is kind of rubbery. Like our bricks, for example, seem very soft, so you don't feel bad when they ram into them. And so something that we use to juice our game a lot is all of our UI squishes, which helps, I guess, further evoke that squishy, soft feeling throughout the entirety of the game. However, if you were making like I don't know, a dungeon crawler or something, you may want to go a different route in terms of juicing. Like maybe, for example, in the Halo games, when you kill the grunts, there's an effect you can turn on where confetti pops out of their head sometimes. That would be an example of juicing for like a comedic aspect.
Right. So there's no be all end all when it comes to juicing. You can approach.
We could link to those talks. Those talks are really good.
Right. Yeah. I'll find those. Juice it or lose it. That's the GDC talk. If you're going to Becker, you're gonna watch that like 5 times before you leave. Let's see, it's probably the most watched talk of mine.
We can see your Discord.
I put it on Do Not Disturb so that it wouldn't pop up anymore. But yeah, that's my Discord. Use Discord, gamers.
All right, I'm dropping it in our chat.
So, and we have another. Is juicing just limited to particles, or is it audio, or is that something else?
Yeah, audio is also huge. one thing that I like to say is that like if you've juiced something enough, you should be able to like hear it with the sound off. Like one company that does this really well is called Vlambeer, and they make games that are pretty polished and really juicy, in my opinion. And I usually play games with the sound off, but even if I've heard the sounds once, I still sort of like hear them in my head as the game goes because all of the visuals are so connected to the sounds, and they're like a visual and sound effect for everything that I still feel like I'm getting the full experience even without that. And in the other direction, you should be able to like basically know what's happening even if you had your eyes closed. If you hear what the audio is, you should be able to like tell what's going on. So that's like a good check to know if you're like done or not. But yeah, there's a certain amount of like what players are going to notice and what they won't. Yeah.
We should also, while we're like just pause to talk, we should talk about the distinction between juicing and polishing. So juicing is like a post-process type thing. What's really important before even you start juicing is to make sure that your core game loop is actually enjoyable to play. Because juicing does a great job of like expanding, and it can almost like fake making fun, if that makes any sense. However, it's always best to polish your game, make sure it's enjoyable like in a gray box state before you even consider adding juice.
Yeah, and to go along with what Kevin just said, I think a great example of that is you could see it in our duck movement. So before we added in any sort of hopping or like effects with the ducks squishing, Ezra really nailed down the core feeling of the ducks swiping. So like even if we didn't have the juicing aspects in the game right now, I'd still have fun, like personally at least, swiping the ducks back and forth, seeing them move around. But the juicing
they're
sort
just
of
circles.
Yeah, and we started off with them just being circles. We didn't have the ducks right in or anything. But yeah, as early as then, Ezra implemented a thing that made the circles squish when you move them. So like the feedback was really nice there, and just like polishing and juicing go hand in hand, but like Kevin said, they really aren't the same.
Like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ezra, do you care to clue us in on what you were doing?
Yeah, so I'm just making a lot of them now. I set their start times to be random between constants so that they will not all play at the exact same time, which should make it look a little bit more natural. And then I made a bunch of them and moved them all over the screen. And then I put them under the windscreen so that they should work now. Yeah, so let's load up a level and see if it works. These are all really good questions, though. I'm enjoying answering them and hearing everyone else's answers. All right, drum roll. Ta-da! It could use more. Okay, so now I've made a bit of a mistake because what I should have done was made this a prefab so that when I changed one, it would change all of them, but I did not. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete the rest of them, and I'm gonna make it a prefab, and then that'll work hopefully. So in Unity, it's really useful. You can just take any game object in your scene, drag it into your project folder. I'm gonna put it under prefabs, and now it's prefab. So I can just be editing that instead. If I make a bunch of them, 6 of them or something, then I can just edit the prefab and they'll all change.
And the place you're working on this, Ezra, this is in our level package. Can you explain how like you sort of did that? You set that up to make levels?
Yeah, so that was one of the first things that we did. We set up this big prefab so that you wouldn't have to like manually create all the levels. So you can just drag in the one thing. And especially important is the fact that if you change it in the project, it changes it in all the levels. Because we have like 30 levels now. And if we had to change every one of them every time we wanted to change something, it would be a nightmare. So it is very, very useful to have prefabs. And you can even have prefabs within prefabs, which is what we're doing here. I think that actually we're 3 prefabs deep now because the confetti is a prefab within the windscreen, which is, I don't even know if the windscreen is a prefab or not, but canvas is definitely a prefab. And then the level package is a prefab also. So we're really using that part. Okay, so yeah, now I need to go into wherever I made this thing.
You made 2 confetti prefabs.
Oh no.
This is what we're talking about with the duplicates.
Okay, you know what? This is what I was testing before, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete it.
Oh, gotcha.
I thought that didn't push it, but it's not. Okay. You are gonna be named. Oh no, don't delete you, please, please. Confetti. Not one, just confetti. Plain old confetti. It needed more. I'm gonna make this 100. And oh, actually, I can make it random. Whenever you can make something random in a game, just probably do it. It makes it better.
So we have another question here.
Yeah.
At what point is there too much juice, and will it slow down my game?
So, good questions. I don't know if I've seen a game with too much juice. There's like, some games can be a little bit visually overwhelming, but there's usually options to turn it off. And the thing about if it's running slowly, that's just something you need to test. So my philosophy on this is you should generally know what things might be performant and what things might not be. Things that are built into Unity are generally pretty good. Like if I were to make this particle system from scratch, it would be much slower than the one that Unity made because they know how all their inner systems work and everything. But when you're thinking about how fast something's going to be, it's very important that you don't just go by gut feel. There's this thing, I think I've said this like 3 times in the past week, so I apologize to all my teammates, but I think it's really important that even if you know that you can make one thing 10 times faster and another thing 2 times faster, you still don't actually have enough information to know which one you should fix if you have a limited amount of time to do it. Because one of them might happen a lot more than the other one. So if you imagine the thing that you can make 10 times faster only actually happens once in your game, whereas the thing that you can make 2 times faster happens like on every frame, then it's like a no-brainer that you should do it the one that would be 2 times faster. And the best way to check that, in Unity at least, and there's something equivalent in basically anything that you're going to be using to code, is the profiler, which...
Control 7, right?
Is it Control 7?
Yeah.
I really thought it was in here. Okay, whatever. Oh, it's in analysis. I was trying to show how you can find it. Okay, so it's in analysis. You can open the profiler, and then this will give you all the data about like how long each of your functions is taking. And you can go from here in terms of saying, oh, this is taking up like 80% of my time. I should fix this. And particles probably aren't going to be too far up there. That's a good question.
I think that also makes a great job for segueing into talking about tweening. Tweening is another aspect that we utilize in our game to help improve performance. So right now, like I said before, our UI, everything squishes. So for example, the pause button squishes, the undo button squishes, the buttons on the pause menu squish. Everything's got a squish to it. However, that being said, so if we were to use animations to make things squish, we'd have like a huge folder of animations. Everything would be messy. And animations are actually very processor heavy. So what we decided to use was actually something called tweening. This is not just default in Unity. I think we imported a library called LeanTween to help us, but there's plenty of different things on the Unity Asset Store. I highly recommend you check them out. Maybe
DoTween is another one.
Yeah, we can show how to get those later.
This is all of the code for the button switching.
Yeah, that is
on all of them.
It's just one line, one script for all the buttons. You just attach it to which things you want to squish. And so essentially what it does is it just takes the game object. It essentially changes its scale by the whatever value we set it over a certain period of time, and then we just tell it to loop in a ping pong like manner. And so it's actually extremely not opposite of processor heavy. It's extremely good. Yeah, extremely performant in comparison to just having a bunch of animations. And it's really easy too, more or less. So I highly recommend
Once you figure out the syntax.
Yeah, I highly recommend checking out tweening.
Yay! I think that's pretty good. Let's do it again.
So we have one more question. Then I think we should move on to the fireworks and squash and stretch.
All right.
If you're ready for that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty much done with the confetti.
Gotcha. So our question is, when juicing, what would serve my purposes better, making a game on Unity or Unreal, or 3D, what is it called? Game Builder, right?
Game Maker?
Game Maker. I blanked for a second.
That is a really good question. I haven't used many of those, so I can't say conclusively, but I know that there are good options in all of them. Unreal especially has like really nice lighting. And that's like a form of juicing as well if you're making something really realistic. I know Unity is good at it, at least. I think that they're all good at it, though.
Has anyone on our team really spent like a significant amount of time in Unity and in Unreal?
So I have not spent a lot of time in Unreal. However, I can kind of go into a bit of the pros and cons of each. So the way it's kind of been described to us is Unity is more of a mobile game dev software, whereas Unreal is meant for companies like corporations, game dev studios. And so essentially, I think personally, I recommend Unity to start simply because it requires you to have a lot of knowledge in terms of like coding, simply because this is the way it works. Whereas Unreal has blueprints to do a lot of stuff. And that kind of forces you to understand a lot of things that work, like how they work under the hood. And it also like helps to reinforce your understanding of like game knowledge. I think, I don't know in terms of like particle systems, obviously like that's not the only thing that like, juicing is for. Particle systems, I don't know. I'm sure Unreal's got some Unreal particle systems.
Yeah, actually, there was somebody in one of my classes who made a game demo in Unreal where he took like 3D objects, and then there's something in Unreal where you can turn them into like particle clouds. So like everything was clouds of particles, and when you walked over to something, you could click it and it would like evaporate. So I mean, there's definitely some really cool stuff in there. But yeah, I guess the main draw for Unity and the reason that I'm using it is, I mean, besides that we have to use it for this, but I was using it before that even, is there are just so many tutorials that there are some for Unreal, but not as many. And it's really, really useful to be able to look up how somebody's doing it. I mean, you're here, so you understand that, but yeah.
On top of that as well, I've taken a few classes I took like a class in Unreal and then like a little tutorial thing when we went remote. And I think it's very easy for me to say that Unity is very much preferred for 2D games. If you're making something like a 2D side scroller or a 2D top down type thing like we are, it's like 2D Unity definitely beats 2D Unreal. I'm not like, I don't even think I've seen the 2D Unreal like workspace, but everyone I've talked to has said they much prefer Unity for 2D. And in terms of 3D, Unity I feel like is the easier engine to get into and to start making stuff. Unreal is definitely like prettier though. Unreal is kind of a very pretty engine is one thing I could say for it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So now we're making fireworks. We're just using the default Unity particle for this since it works pretty well, I think. We're gonna do a lot of the same stuff. What I did to start with is color over lifetime. I think it's a nice thing that sort of fades. The only downside is it might look sort of samey if we, in every level, if they're like exploding in the same ways every time. Because you can't really randomize this, I don't think. So we might end up making a script that does that for us.
I think you can randomize it with noise. if I'm not mistaken.
In here?
Well, at least you can shake it, and then it gets randomly shooken. Each
Okay,
particle.
yeah. There are definitely lots of ways of doing that. I meant like for the color. I think there's a way that you can set gradients, but I guess I could do random between two gradients. I've never tried doing this before, so this is a experiment for the ages. Let's see. Let's would be, I guess, going from like greenish.
You could do one gradient that's like yellow to red, and then another, or like orange to red, and another that's like blue to green or something.
Okay, yeah, I'll try that. To red. Blue to green. Ooh, that looks kind of cool. Okay, I'm into this. I am curious about this noise thing. Whoa! You see that?
Yeah.
I don't know how good the frame rate is. That's wacky. Sorry, I really need to play with this for a second. Frequency. What if we turn down the frequency? Oh. No. What if we turn up the frequency?
So
this is like, I think this is Perlin noise.
This is probably the best part of juicing, by the way.
Just mess around with things.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think.
Is it fair to say that you'll always find new things in Unity, no matter what you do, or how long you've been using it for?
Yeah.
You'll always find random new stuff to make your stuff look cool.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since there are packages you can install, so you can always go out and find extra stuff to do that with. We can also add gravity. Like if we had just a tiny bit of gravity, like 0.1 or something, then they'll sort of fall a little bit. I think that's a nice sort of effect. Let's actually make. Oh, I don't know if you can make this. You can. Everything can be random. If there's one thing you take away from this, every single thing can be random. Let's just try between like 70 and like 150. What else? You could change the size. Oh, actually, we need to do the thing where it fades out. So we're gonna do size over lifetime. Let's try a different easing function this time. Yeah, I kind of like them to be bigger for longer, so that's why you can double click on this and change the curve like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then color over lifetime as well, as Kevin suggested. Where is that?
You already have it checked.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I guess I need to just go into here and set this alpha low. And same on this one.
What does changing the mode on the gradient do?
In here?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that means like it's this or this instead of like, yeah. It doesn't gradate in between.
Yeah. Okay.
But I like that effect. Yeah. Okay. So let's make a bunch of these and see how it do. Sometimes with particles or with fireworks, I like to have it like explode out. Like you can make it so there's one particle that shoots up and then it explodes out and creates more. But since it's just going to be a windscreen, I think that'd be a little bit too much. So we're going to not do that. Let's make this prefab as well. You can call it firework and put it in prefabs. And then make some copies. Oops, do not want to rename that. I don't know if there's anything that depends on it, but it might be. Create empty, that's what I was going for. So sometimes you create empty game objects just to organize things. So this isn't going to actually store anything. It's just going to have the fireworks under it so that I can drag them around easier. All right, that's a lot of fireworks. Let's bring them around different places. Okay, and then we'll put this right next to you. Oops. Move that. Do I want to open the prefab though?
It's because the canvas is its own parent. Or its own prefab, sorry.
Yeah, wait, let me try to move it back outside. I think you can kind of get around it if you just go in directly. No? Okay. I wonder how I got the confetti in. That's weird.
Maybe try closing the arrow tab for the confetti and then just putting it underneath that, maybe. That probably won't change anything. No.
I guess I could put under the confetti. All right, sure. Works for me. All right, let's see what it looks like. It might be a little bit too much to that one person's question about whether there's too much juice. I doubt it, but it could be. I should also set a delay on the fireworks. I will do that next. We were waiting so long to do this, to do it on the stream. Oh, that looks
I think
good.
you've got 2 in the top left.
Yeah.
That is totally true. Also, it's looping.
Yeah.
There are lots of, I mean, we probably don't want them to loop. Yeah, we don't want them to loop.
So
We also
out of-
need to, yeah.
sorry.
Go
Didn't
ahead.
kick you off there. Out of curiosity, would you also call your black the black fade in? Would you also consider that juice as well, or is that something completely different?
Yeah, I would consider it juice. It was actually the first juicy effect that we added, and it was added when I had some extra time, and I was like, I bet people appreciate this.
Yep.
So.
So if you guys are ever working on a project-based like thing like we're doing with the summer internship program, something that Ezra just did right there is what I'd call a spare minutes task. When your producer sort of says like, hey, like, I mean, okay, this is getting into something else, but usually you should self-generate your own tasks from big goals that you have. But in this case, Ezra did like all the tasks he needed to in a shorter amount of time than we really thought he would. So he used his spare minutes to do a spare minutes task, which was to juice the transition to be more interesting, more engaging, that sort of thing. And it was for the better because that side duck transition looks great.
Yeah, and that first version was like really bad in a lot of ways, but so we had to go back and fix it later. But the idea of it being in there was good, and it worked out.
Yeah, and one thing that Ezra's really great at is testing out a whole ton of different ways to juice the game. Do you want to talk about maybe some of the different things you've done, like sort of how you've like made the game look different, like in those different modes, like the minimalist one, or
Oh yeah, sure. So I mean, a lot of that stuff, and I can't show you because it's on like a branch a million years ago. But looking at other games and seeing what effects you like, and usually people will have written up like what they did. So I was really inspired by ooh, that's good. There's a game called Super Meat Boy, and some of the levels in that game are sort of like not black and white necessarily, but all the colors are filled in. So usually you can like see all the sprites and everything, but they're just silhouetted. I thought that looked really nice. So I figured out how to do that in Unity's built-in shader graph, which is a really cool tool that you can use. And I also made like an 8-bit version, like all the pixels are really big and chunky. And that was something that I took from a game called A Short Hike, which has a really nice visual style. And they're in 3D, but it was made in Unity, and the effect is basically the same. It's actually really funny how it works. You basically set a camera to render to a texture. So basically, you just imagine like, so you're sort of like making film almost, and then you just zoom it up really big, and then point another camera at that, and it looks like they're big pixels. So it's kind of like this effect, except for the whole game. Those fireworks look pretty good, except I thought the delay was a little bit long. So I'm just going to edit that real quick, and then I think we'll be done with that, and we can move on to the diamond stars.
Ooh. I'm very excited for those.
Me too. Okay. is going to make people more excited to finish levels, I think.
So Ezra, or really anybody, I should say, sorry, let me restart that. Ezra implemented a little thing when we moved the ducks around that shows them colliding with the walls. Would you guys consider that juice or polish?
Is that the prefab, Ezra?
Oh, you are smart. Okay, let me. Yeah, so when you're working, and sometimes it's easy to forget that you're not working in the prefab. What I just did, you can basically like send the changes backwards to the prefab and be like, hey, actually, I want this for all of them. That was a very good catch, Kevin. Thank you. All right, so now I have tested again. Yeah, so to John's question, I can show off what he means. So there's this little like effect when you run into the walls. Well, like pop.
Oh, we could do dust particles.
Yeah,
That's
one
what,
of those.
that's what we were thinking. But would you consider
There's a
that?
placeholder for now.
Yeah. So do you guys consider that juicing or polishing?
I think that the fireworks should go on the bottom right, by the way, Ezra. One of them just kind of is in the middle. It makes like an arrow shape.
Yeah. I really wish I could randomize where they are. I don't know if I can do it or not.
There's gotta be a way.
I mean, yeah, we could do it in code, but I don't know if there's a way here. I guess shape maybe.
I mean, John, as a
Randomized
designer
position. That seems
myself,
good.
I would consider that juice because more than polish, just because you could get away with that. It's not something that's needed to happen. People can kind of put the image itself in your head. I think that's just adding a bit more, but that's just my opinion. Ezra, what's your thoughts? Is that collision? Is it juice or is it polish?
I think it's more on the polish side because running into things is something you really need to communicate to players, and it's basically the core loop of the game is running into things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely on the line, and I don't think there's a clear delineation necessarily.
Yeah. The reason I asked it was because I knew it would be a very hard question. I myself was leaning on both ways, and I think that sort of goes hand in hand with like the fact that these are two sides of the same coin, and those fireworks look fantastic.
Thank you.
That delay is great.
Yeah, I added delay, and I also did find a place where you can randomize the position, although I again forgot it to apply to the prefab. So, and usually things like that won't change if you're editing it in play mode, but because it is a prefab, it should actually work.
And for your random position thing, can't you just use this script to instantiate it in a random spot?
I could, but it's usually good to try to figure out if it's already built in. Considering there's so much, it seemed like there must be a way of doing that. Also, do they look different to anybody? I feel like different now.
Well, you have randomized stuff.
Yeah. I think that I actually want to go back. I was trying to randomize the starting position of the, yeah, okay. So we need to find something else to do that. I guess this is randomizing the position like over time. Interesting. Now we're gonna do some looking. Actually, you know what? This might be the time to go to the documentation. Unity particle system randomize start location.
So can you quickly walk us through what you're looking for right now?
Yeah. So basically, I don't want it to look like the same every time. So I want to know if there's a way of randomizing where the particles start from, like where the bursts are. And I'm not sure how to do that, so I'm looking it up. And if I don't find this quickly, I know it's not anything to look at. So it was just like if there's an easy way, like, oh, boom, there it is. But looks like maybe not.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yep.
And you still have to talk about squash and stretch. So.
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit, but you were totally right. Also, I want to add trail, but I don't really know how to do that, so I'll abstain. Okay, yeah, these are fine for now. They look pretty good, I think. Yeah, they're pretty good. Okay. Do we want to try doing the stars?
I think it's worth. Do you guys think you can get them done in like 10 minutes?
We can change the texture at least.
I mean, if you go over a few minutes, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that is true.
On our end,
this is something that we have to do anyway, so it's not like interfering with our work time or anything. I guess I'm a little bit more excited about trying to get the thing to fall in. Kevin, do you think that's going to be really hard?
The windscreen?
Yeah.
No, that shouldn't be too difficult.
Okay. Yeah, I really want to try doing that because I think it would look really cool. Basically, what we're talking about right now is right now the windscreen just pops up like this, and we're interested in having it like fall down like that instead. And I think there's a way you can do that in Lean Queen pretty easily. So yeah, if you imagine this is like falling off the screen instead.
But do we want to have that fall after the confetti and fireworks? Or during?
Probably during, I think.
We can just mess with delays at that point.
Yeah, so one of the things that is good to do is try to make as many things as possible be visible in the editor, and then we can just mess around with the numbers from there instead of having to go into script every time. So I'm gonna, since everyone's watching, what I usually do is I just go into add component and I type in like falling tween menu, something like that. But the problem with this is it creates the script in the assets folder where it's unorganized, and then I usually forget where it is. So I'm going to be a good programmer and put it into UI scripts instead. So I'm going to create C# script and falling tween menu. And whenever I make a script, my computer likes to load up Visual Studio just to let me know that it knows that that's the program it should use if I were to. Okay, so this is the Unity like default class mono behavior, and it gives you a start and an update. I don't think we're going to use update, so I'm just going to delete it. And in the start menu, we're going to do probably lean tween dot set or position. Is that what it is? Kevin?
Did you type in pause?
Is it pause?
No, it's move. Sorry, I know what it is. Move.
Probably move local, right?
I normally just use move.
Yep.
Actually, it is UI.
Or should we move Y since it's only going to be moving in the Y direction?
Yeah, sure. Move local Y probably because it is UI, so it's going to be like screwy, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's harder to talk when I'm programming. So sorry about that, everybody.
That's okay. We'll have him do the play-by-play.
Yeah, so like we said before, lean tween, the different methods require 3 parameters, the game object. So we just type in game object. Unity defaults that game object that you see in there. That syntax is just referring to whatever the script is attached to. So we're going to attach it to the windscreen, so it's going to move the windscreen.
Yeah. I just made some variables so that we can set things in the editor. So to start with, I'm going to, this is a little bit hacky, but it should be faster for right now at least. I'm going to set it to the start position at 0 time so that, because when you're editing it, it's nice to see it in the middle, but when it starts, we want it to start above. And then we're going to move to the end position over fall time, amount of time. And we want to set that these
I can link the ease link in Zoom.
Oh yeah, okay. Or do you want to just tell me which one would be good? Like,
Well, I thought it might be cool to show the website.
oh, true. Okay. Is it in the Zoom?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble opening Zoom. Is it already open?
You can just go. It's just easings.net on Google.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. So this is a really cool website explaining what all these easing functions do. So there's also a little animation on the side of like what it looks like over time.
You want to kind of like bounce when it lands, right? So something like ease out, bounce maybe.
Ease out elastic. Right?
Sure. Well, I was just thinking because what about the one to the right of that? Ease out, bounce. Keep going right.
I don't really like. This is maybe just a personal thing. I don't like it when it feels like it hit something because I don't know what it hit. It feels better if it's like sort of springy to me.
All right, yeah, then go for elastic.
Yeah, ease out elastic.
I don't think you. I think you can like forego the set ease, and you can just do dot ease out elastic.
All right,
yeah,
there we go. Okay. So that should be all the code we need, and then we'll just mess around with the numbers until it looks good. We need to actually give it the script. Falling between menu. Let's go with like, I don't know, 4 for the start position, 0 for the end position, and have it go over 1 second, just to start with. And we'll see what it looks like. Looks like nothing.
at all. Interesting.
Is it possible it's because of the way that it is in the UI?
It might be, try increasing the fall time.
Okay.
Like
let's try increasing the start position to like 1,000, just in case that's what it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to exaggerate things so that you can like really tell. Oh no. Well, okay. Well, it's gonna be off screen for a long time if this actually works. Oh, it doesn't work. Interesting. Let me take a look at it in here. So we can just pause it and look at the windscreen.
Its start position and fall time didn't update.
They did. Oh, they wait. Yeah, but it didn't. Okay. Weird.
Oh, but now it is updated.
Okay. Let's try now.
Oh, it's moving.
Okay.
There it goes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so start position was actually a pretty good number, but fall time was just much too large. Let's change this to, let's go into the package first so that's changing everywhere. Change this to like 10, actually change it to 1. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that looks kind of slick though.
I don't know if it was too fast or if it was
I think
just
it was a little too
slideshow.
fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
that
well,
looks
it looks
fine.
good on my screen.
Yeah, I saw that.
It might be a little bit too fast. I'll set it to like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's just because of the delay in Zoom as well.
That could be it as well.
I think it's a little bit fast on mine as well. Ooh, that's good. That is good.
Could one say juicing is just changing numbers very slightly to get a better outcome?
We have to do all the programming first, but after that, yeah.
I don't like to get into the programming stuff. It's too much for my designer brain right now.
That's fair. Actually, one tip about changing numbers around. This is from Sid Meier, the person who made Civ. When you're changing numbers, the most efficient way to do it, if you want to do something less or more, say you want to like increase something, I increased it from 1 to 2 because the general rule is you want to try doubling it or having it if you're going the other direction. And because of math stuff, that is guaranteed to give you the quickest route to the number that you actually want. Because you can generally tell, like we're pretty good as humans at telling, is this like better, is this like slower or faster than I wanted, but not how much. So if you just go double and then half and then like narrow it in that way. So that's why I went from 1 to 2.
It's like if you had a guess between, or like pick a number between 1 and 100, you guess 50. Like is that too low or too high? 25 or 75.
That's right. So now I'm going to 1.25 because I feel like it's just a little bit too slow, and we can narrow it in that way. I can be a little bit faster. 1.3.
So when you're done adjusting the numbers, do you think we could see a side-by-side can you think we can see a comparison where you just turn off the stuff real quick and then turn it back on?
Okay, so let me think about how to do that for a second.
You could just disable the script as well as the particle systems.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do that in the level instead of the prefab though.
Yeah.
So we can turn off this. We can turn off this, and that should actually just do it. So here's the before. It loads. Do. Boring. Nothing. Terrible. The worst. And then if we, this might be slower than just whatever. Windscreen, turn this on, go in, turn on confetti, and then, yay! There's the side by side.
Much better.
Yeah, and that was just like an hour, and it's going to be in every single level.
Awesome.
I think that's all from us, unless people have more questions.
Yeah, so I do have a question. They want to see the home screen. If you could quickly break down how you came about that, because they saw images and other stuff.
Yeah. So this actually has a lot of particles in it as well. So basically we made a bunch of particle systems that all emit different sprites, and we just actually took sprites that we use for other stuff. So like this star particle is just like the star that we use on the end screens. This is just cones. These are bricks, I think. Or no, these are the ducks. This is like actually one of the frames of an animation. We just took that out. And little hurdles, or like roadblocks, I think they're called. I always call them hurdles.
We should add the TNT to those.
Yeah.
We definitely should. And then, so if you load it up, there's also some other particles of just like little dust, basically. And there's tweening on all the buttons that Kevin added. So they all like zoom in. And there you go. It's very similar to what we just did. Similar
now,
ideas.
Is it possible for you to, in this right now, to quickly disable the particles so you can see the quick side by side?
Yeah.
Just obviously it's gonna still zoom in, but
I don't.
You don't have to disable. No. Just the particles. Just say.
We actually did this. I think we were all just hanging out in the Zoom call, and I was like, "Hey guys, you want to add some particles to the menu?" And we were all just like, "Yeah."
I mean, when in doubt, add particles, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice.
It's nice.
And then,
compared to the explosions and dust particles. I think you just click.
Yeah.
There it goes. Much better. All righty. I think that's really it. We're coming around to 3:05 right now. So if you guys want to wrap it up.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks everybody for coming. And could we get our testing links somewhere? Is that in like the event invite? Because you can probably just like, you won't see these changes for another couple of days, but it might be cool to see, them actually implementing the real game.
So what's it called? What's today? Today's Wednesday. So tomorrow I'm actually sending out an email to everyone on our list for those that have come and haven't come for everyone's testing links if they give me the approval, so they can test every one of the 4 games we have if they wish.
Yeah, okay, so this is called Danger Ducklings, everybody. Make sure to check it
out. When is this going to be released, you think? When's release date? Ish.
We will. It's soon, TM.
I've been tentatively saying like August soft launch ish, but then later for like the full release. Is that about right?
I think you're right, Ezra. We're a little peek behind the curtains. We're starting development on World 2. If not this week, then next week for sure in full swing. We're already concepting out the next job for these ducks to take, because they can't last the construction forever. They gotta
especially now with all those explosions.
Right, yeah. It's a little dangerous there. So they may become doctors or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to give us a quick sneak thoughts on what they're going to be? Do you have any?
We could show the concept art on the Miro board.
Might as well.
All right.
This is why you show up to the stream. You see behind the scenes.
Let's see where we are.
I'm still secretly hoping, or not secretly, I've just been saying it all the time, for Wizard Ducks. But there are also some other good ideas. Cowboy Ducks are also good.
We're most likely going to go with Wizard Ducks, but I didn't want to say it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. We're going to show it anyway. So this is Miro. This is our virtual whiteboard. We get this is where we do all of our organization.
You want to show the rip can?
This is all the ideas we threw out. There's a lot of stuff here. There was like this was Operation Ostrich. This is the game Ezra was talking about.
With the googly eyes.
He did some juice. This was gonna be like a match 3 ghost game, then sort of demon game, then sort of
then turned into a blackjack ghost game.
Yeah, that went through a lot. Yeah, there's Lightning McQueen. So there was a lot of ideas going on. Get out of there. So here's some concept art for the next world. We're going through different themes, and we're not entirely sure what we're going to go with yet. But some things that we've been considering are like them becoming sailors, wizards, cowboys, cooks, or fishermen. So yeah. Another thing is like sort of seeing what assets we can reuse in World 2. Like if we were to make them wizards, what can we recolor and what do we have to make from the ground up?
Awesome. Well, thank you for the sneak peek. So yeah, that's about it. I don't see any more questions, so you guys are free to go. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for coming.
Please fill out the feedback form that I posted before. I'll post it again for those so we can better do our stream. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you next week. We're going to have the SIP alum coming back from their jobs and different things. They want to come in and give a talk and a quick little where they are now for everyone to come and see. Then the following week, which will be our last stream of the summer, we are going to have professionals from the industry themselves, such as Owen Leach, who worked on ESO. They're going to be coming in to do a quick stream. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to be ending the thing. Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone, for joining.